tired all the time. This is probably one of those common complaints that patients come to see me with. A new baby keeping us awake at night, pulling an all-nighter just before an exam, or just staying up at night to finish watching your favourite programme. We've all been there. But when it starts affecting your daily life and it's actually stopping you from doing things, that's the time when you need to see the doctor. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Roda and I'm a doctor working in the UK, and today's video is the second episode in my Let's Talk Health series, and today we're talking all about tiredness. I'm going to go through some of the most common causes of tiredness that patients have come to see me with, and you'd be surprised that some of the common causes are actually things that we can improve, and hopefully knowing some of the causes may help you put some strategies in place to get those energy levels back. So let's get into it. And the first one is that may seem really obvious is lack of sleep. I don't think that people appreciate just how important sleep is for our health and our body. And I'm not just talking about how long we're sleeping for, I'm also talking about the quality of the sleep. And lack of sleep is one of the most common culprits that leads to tiredness. When you're waking up in the morning and you do not feel refreshed or you're feeling sleepy, that's the body telling us that you have not got enough sleep. So there is actually a hormone called melatonin that helps regulate our sleep. So this hormone increases in the evening, so that's what makes you feel sleepy and tired. That actually helps you go to sleep. And then that hormone goes down in the morning, which helps you wake up. And there are lots of things that can actually affect those hormone levels. And one of the most common ones is actually inconsistent sleep patterns. So your body not knowing when to actually go to sleep because you're not sleeping at a regular time. One of the things I always stress to my patients is try and go to sleep at the same time every day and try and get up at the same time each day as well. Because the reason for that is this hormone, it also helps regulate our circadian rhythm, which is the internal body clock that helps tell our body when to go to sleep and when to wake up, and all the other bits and pieces that happen in between. So that's one of the first ones. Another thing that's really key is sleep hygiene. And I'm not talking about cleanliness, but I'm talking about promoting positive sleep habits. And one of the other really key things is electronics. Using electronics, so phone, tablet, television even, emits a blue light. And this blue light actually interferes with the hormone levels, with the melatonin, and actually makes it more difficult for us to go to sleep. And not just that, but also reduces the quality of our sleep. So it reduces something called the REM sleep, which is a period of sleep where our body is kind of regenerating itself, where we're forming new memories and that type of thing. So when you don't have enough of that, you're gonna wake up not feeling refreshed. Other things that can affect sleep, things like heavy meals in the evening. So I always advise people to avoid eating anything heavy 2 or 3 hours before bed. Drinking caffeine, again, that's going to impact on our sleep. And also trying to promote a positive and relaxing evening routine. So anything that kind of helps you wind down and get ready to go to bed. So basically avoiding things like having arguments in the evening, making heavy decisions that's going to kind of, make you think, or relaxing techniques like having a nice bath, reading, meditating, anything like that. So the next common cause of tiredness is lack of exercise. When I'm feeling tired, the last thing I should be doing is actually exercising. But there are so many studies that have shown that people who regularly exercise actually have much higher energy levels compared to those who don't exercise at all. Exercise actually helps us feel more energized. And I can vouch for this myself, when I'm feeling sluggish and I'm feeling really tired, when I go for a walk or go for a run and I come back, I feel so much more refreshed and I feel so much more energized. And the reason for that is exercise actually helps deliver oxygen to our muscles and strengthens them, and also helps strengthen our hearts. So that basically improves our endurance. And so people who regularly exercise, and by exercise I don't just mean going on the treadmill and doing something really strenuous, it can be as basic as going for a brisk walk around the neighborhood. And there are actually government recommendations that I always let my patients know, and that is exercising for about 20 to 30 minutes a day, at least 5 times a day. So this can be 10-minute walk in the evening, 10-minute walk in the morning, and that's your exercising for that day. And some of the other causes of tiredness include things like vitamin deficiencies. And one of the most common ones is actually vitamin D deficiency. You have probably heard of vitamin D being really important for our immune system and our bones and muscles. Vitamin D is also really important in helping us maintain our energy levels. So I actually personally have had low vitamin D, and I remember feeling really tired, so exhausted, like physically found it really difficult to do anything. And once I started taking vitamin supplements, I felt instantly better. I felt more energized again. So how do we actually get vitamin D into our body? And one of the most obvious ways is through direct sunlight. Unfortunately, certain countries don't really have a lot of sunlight, so people are more at risk of developing vitamin D deficiency. That's why in the UK at least, it's recommended that every adult should really be taking vitamin D supplements to help maintain our vitamin D levels. And the other thing that vitamin D is really important for is to help regulate our mood. Some people find that their mood drops in the winter months, and this is called seasonal affective disorder. And that's because during the winter months, there's not a lot of sunlight, which means there's not a lot of vitamin D production. So again, it's really important to make sure that you are taking the vitamin D supplements. There are also other vitamin deficiencies, and some of them can actually lead to things like anemia. So one of the examples is iron deficiency, and this is actually quite common in young ladies who may be experiencing heavy periods where you are losing iron. So that can be one cause. Another cause is having a poor diet that doesn't contain a lot of iron. So foods that contain iron are things like red meat, certain beans, nuts. If you are deficient in those, if you're not having a good diet, it can lead to iron deficiency anemia, and again, that can make you feel really, really exhausted. And then there are other vitamin deficiencies that are less common, so things like B12 and folate deficiencies, and again, the most obvious reasons for that is a poor diet. So you can see here that having a really good diet will promote kind of maintaining vitamin levels, but also helps us energize our body because we're eating healthy foods that are providing us sustenance. One of the other causes that I've kind of put into a big umbrella, and that is psychological causes. And this one is often the most neglected cause that people don't realize can actually lead to a lot of fatigue and a lot of physical tiredness. And the most common one is stress. I think we've all experienced stress in one way or the other. Stress in small doses can be useful, but when it becomes long-term, or what we call chronic, then it can really start affecting our body in a negative way. And one of them, which is fatigue. So when I talk about stress, I'm talking about stress at work, stress at home, stress in a relationship. And when we're feeling stress, we release hormones, things like adrenaline and something called cortisol. And these hormones help us kind of with the fight or flight response. So when cortisol, for example, becomes high in our body, it increases our sugar levels, it affects our digestive system, it affects our brain, and in short doses that can be fine. But when you're constantly in stress, you're constantly releasing these hormones, then they can start actually having a negative impact on us. And high cortisol levels has been found that over time can cause things like inflammation in our body. It can increase our risk of depression and anxiety. It can also increase the risk of things like diabetes. It can affect our fertility. I always find it really important, and when I'm asking these questions and patients come in and say I'm feeling tired, I always explore about their home circumstances. How is work? How is your relationship? Is there anything that you're feeling stressed about? Because that can honestly really, really lead to things like tiredness. So I always find it really important to go through stress management strategies with patients to try and help them manage their stress levels, because I can't change people's jobs, I can't change your relationship, I can't change your home circumstances, but what we can do is help manage our stress. So ways in which we can do that is kind of learning about relaxation techniques, so things like mindfulness, yoga, meditation, talking to people about it, having a good social network where you can kind of offload these stressful experiences. All of that collectively does actually help with lowering our stress levels and helping us managing it at least. And then the other psychological causes, which I've kind of touched on, is anxiety and depression. People always think that when you're feeling depressed, the only real thing you're experiencing is low mood. But it's in actual fact, a lot of patients that come to see me actually start their sentence with, "Doctor, I'm feeling really, really tired, but I don't know what's going on." And when I ask a few more questions, what I actually find out is that they are feeling depressed and they're experiencing low mood. When someone's feeling depressed or when we are feeling anxious, there are actually physical symptoms that we can experience, and one of them which is fatigue or tiredness. So I always find it really, really important to screen for kind of mental health. And then there are other causes, so hormonal causes, and these are things like thyroid issues. So the thyroid is a small gland that just sits just in the neck, and it releases hormones that help regulate and control the way our body works, so it kind of helps control the rate at which our body has to work. So sometimes you can have an overactive thyroid or an underactive thyroid, and both of those can lead to things like tiredness. Then there is also diabetes, which can also lead to things like tiredness. And then there are less common causes, so medication side effects, more rarer diseases that I'm not going to go into. So I've gone through some of the most common causes of tired all the time. You can see that actually some of these causes are things that we can do something about. So things like the exercise, the sleeping, the good diet. You know, in our fast-paced world at the moment, sometimes it can be really, really difficult to just wind down and just to relax and not be running to the next thing. So hopefully this video was useful. If you took something away from it, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video. So please do let me know if there are other health related topics that you want me to cover. Drop them in the comments, DM me on Instagram, or just email me. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.